Hey everybody, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the minor scale, the minor chord. Just wanted to think about what could be said about this that maybe hasn't been said, or it has been said, but maybe not enough. So for some reason when we think about the major scale, we tend to think of pretty simply that there's just we say major, and there's a major scale, C major scale. But with minor, there's this idea that there's several different minor scales: natural minor, harmonic minor, melodic minor, and then other modes like Dorian and Phrygian. And these are thought of as separate scales, but I think there's another way of thinking about it. So first of all, just to go through those real quick, so the idea of natural minor, which I don't know why we call it natural, but it's the same notes as the relative major scale. So for C natural minor, it's this. So it's like 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. And then harmonic minor is that same scale, except we raise the 7th by a half step. So we get that half step move from 7 to 1 to get that kind of melodic intensity that we get when we find half steps in a scale like that. And then melodic minor comes from making one additional alteration, which is to raise the 6th degree. So now that's like this. So from 5 up to 1 ends up looking exactly like the top half of the major scale. And then going down, we revert back to the natural minor. So. And the reason for that is because just what's going on with the melody, where if the line is going up, we're moving up towards the 1, and we fill in that 6, 7, 1. But going back down where we don't have that same pull, it makes sense we're actually heading more of the pull is actually towards 5 there, with that half step going from flat 6 to 5. And then, but really what I want to talk about with all of this is how we can mix those scales together and think really just not in terms of those aren't different scales, there's just one minor scale, and the variations that are involved have to do with different types of approach notes and ways of getting between the primary chord tones, which are 1, flat 3, and 5. So all that other stuff that serves to distinguish between the different types of minor scale, those are passing tones. Those are the notes between 1, 3, and 5. So if we have that in mind, and we think about passing tones and neighbor tones and chromatic neighbors and diatonic neighbors and all that, we can see that we can blend all of those scales together for expressive effect. So just think that we have this, I can actually play as a chord, and then just think about linking things. So maybe I'll go between C and E flat with a passing tone of that D. But what if I wanted to do this? What if I went like that up, but then going back down where I wanted to lead towards the 1, I wanted to use a half step that played into 1. So this. So what is that? That's that flat 2. That's like what we might think of as coming from Phrygian, right? But is it a whole different scale, or is it just an approach note going to 1, leading strongly to 1 by a half step from above? And then let's look at leading from below to 1. We might say, so that's harmonic minor, or is it? It's just half step leading up to 1. What if we did whole step? All right, so is that natural minor? Is that harmonic minor? Well, no, it's just two chromatic notes moving to one. So what if we did? Yeah, so see, all of this is just about ways of moving, connecting chord tones, moving towards the chord tones. So here's the third. Flat 6 to 5. What about this? Half step below the 5. What scale is that? How about this? That's the 6th, right? Which we might find in either, if you want to think in terms of those labels of types of scales, you might think of finding that from Dorian or from Melodic Minor. But rather than thinking of it like that, let's just think of it as a minor chord with 6 here, because what I'm immediately going to do is move to this. Flat 6, 6, flat 6, and that sounds like, it probably sounds like it wants to pull to this. Alright, the 5th. So 6, flat 6, 5. So then we can start to just improvise with all of that stuff, and I'm playing it on guitar so I can just kind of use, just playing within the idea of a minor scale and to generate harmonies at the same time, rather than just playing one note at a time. So there's our chord tone. There's the major 7 underneath 3, 5. But then let's keep that going. Flat 7 under 3, 5. Mixing 7ths. Right, so major 7, flat 7, flat 6. There's one I like in particular, which would be even actually mixing minor 3rd and major 3rd. But just as not thinking, I mean, in a way it kind of goes between major and minor. But it's just kind of this, a neighbor tone. So that's pretty much all I'll say about that, but just to really, again to summarize, it's the idea of there's one minor scale, which is generated from the minor chord, 1, flat 3, 5, and then all those variations are different ways of connecting those chord tones. So whether we're raising 6 and 7, going up to 1, lowering 7 and 6, going back down to 5, lowering 2 as we approach 1, you know, anything you can think of along those lines, mixing 6, natural 6, flat 6, mixing flat 3 and 3, but all of it is using the basic chord tones as the anchor. So there's lots of stuff to explore there. So check it out. Thank you.